Let's talk about the E28. What does it say about your company's ambitions, Xpeng's ambitions in what is a very competitive space and where, of course, as we said, auto sales generally are being squeezed?
Yeah, so E28 is an important product for us. It's going to be our second production model. It's a completely different platform. It is a sports sedan, different from our first product, which is a compact SUV. E28 will be equipped with the, I would say, world-class technology. It will be the first production vehicle globally to incorporate Nvidia's supercomputing platform Xavier. We just announced the partnership this week in Nvidia's GTC conference this week. We're also going to have superior user and driver interface with a vehicle, and also with a number of design features that will be really eye-catching. So very exciting to see it.
And in terms of the G3, which I saw down at your Guangzhou headquarters earlier this year, or in the late part of last year, in terms of the rollout there, what are you seeing in terms of volumes and sales? Are you on track still in terms of targets for units?
Yeah, we're still on track. We have seen very exciting momentum in our orders. We have orders now need to be delivered well into the second half of this year. And also our production plan is working according to schedule. We use the first 3 months of this year to ramp up our production, and we anticipate to start larger volume productions starting the second half this month.
And the volumes that you need to make the financials work, what are you talking about?
So I think the volumes will be in the tens of thousands for this year, and probably with the new model, we hope to double that next year.
And manufacturing capacity is often a challenge. It's been a challenge for your competitors, NIO, it's been a challenge for Tesla, of course. How do you ensure, or I guess the question is that the biggest hurdle as well for Xpeng?
Well, I think it's one of the hurdles. I think production capacity and production quality is always going to be a hurdle for a new company to prove itself. We actually are going to employ a dual strategy in manufacturing. So the first model, the G3, is manufactured at our contract manufacturing partners plant in Zhengzhou. It is going very well. We're working very well with our partner. And also our next model, the E28, we plan actually to manufacture in our own manufacturing facility in Zhaoqing, which is under construction, and we expect to ready for production by the end of this year.
Brian, it's Yvonne in Hong Kong. I just wanted to get your take on what's been going on Tesla in China. Of course, they're opening this production plant. They've lowered prices as well for their models. How is that going to impact the Chinese EV market overall? Are you sensing a little bit more competition now? And is price the only way you can actually beat out Tesla in China?
Well, I think the entrance by Tesla into the Chinese consumer market, I think is, in general, I think a good thing for the consumer market. First of all, I think having a superior product that is well known as a good brand will, I would say, ignite more consumer interest in EV. So it's good generally for Chinese consumer market. Secondly, I think the Tesla will bring high quality supply chain to China, which is also good for the Chinese manufacturing base. In terms of competition, I agree that it will increase competition for the EV market here locally. However, I think in terms of price segment, we are looking at a completely different price segment compared to Tesla. Even with its Model 3 and to be launched Model Y, I think Tesla is still viewed as a premium segment product. The current price for Model 3 is more than double the price of Xpeng G3 right now. So we are not competing in the same segment. However, I think in addition to the price differentials, Xpeng will try to focus on localized technology development, focus on local user experience and product designs. So we hope we actually will have a differentiated product compared to Tesla.
Yeah, your targets, though, you said was going to be in the tens of thousands. I'm wondering, does that factor in what we've been seeing in the regulatory front, where the government could be scrapping some of these subsidies now? How do you see that playing out? Is there going to be a big short-term impact?
I think everybody's watching the new subsidy policy, which still have not been officially rolled out. We anticipate the subsidy to, I think, reduce substantially this year. I think there will be a short-term impact to consumer demand, but it will impact all the EV makers. So I think as the price will be felt consistently across the board, I would like to think that the impact on Xpeng will be moderate because we will be just one of the vehicles that have the same subsidy impact. But in the long run, though, I think reducing subsidy will be good for the industry because I think the industry stimulated by consumer and subsidy will not last because ultimately you have to compete on the product itself. So I think with our superior technology and product positioning, we'll hope to win over consumers on the long run rather than rely on subsidies.
And part of that quality, part of that product is the tie-up with Nvidia, which of course has got a pretty good reputation in terms of the chips. But I wonder if that makes you vulnerable given what we're seeing in terms of the tensions around technology between the US and China. Is that a potential vulnerability if things go in the wrong direction?
Well, I think as an EV maker, you are part of the global supply chain, whether you like it or not. You cannot escape. And also, I think some of the best technologies that can be supplied to manufacturers in auto will come from the US. So we have to work with the US suppliers or technology providers like Nvidia. So we're hopeful that the global trade will not come to a halt. But also, most of our supply chain is actually based locally in China. So we're confident that we can weather short-term variabilities.
And what is your funding looking like? Are you looking for additional sources of funding? Do you have enough runway at this point?
Well, we still have very large cash balance on our balance sheet. But given we are expanding and ramping up volume production this year, we are in the market potentially looking for additional financing. However, I think that will depend on the market conditions and also the progress of our business plan.
Any plans on an IPO?
Well, I think, as I said previously, that IPO will have to come naturally for a company like Xpeng. As we execute our business plan in terms of delivery, technology development, new model rollout, I think IPO will be a natural outcome.